That specific feeling, maybe you're on a packed subway car or walking through Times Square.
Hmm.
You're surrounded by thousands of people, but you feel completely, utterly distinct.
Oh, absolutely. I know exactly what you mean.
Like there is the event of me happening inside this bag of skin, and then there's the world happening out there. And they're two totally separate things.
It's the default setting for almost everyone, isn't it?
Yeah.
I am in here, behind my eyes. You are out there.
Right. My problem's your
My
problem.
bank account, your bank account. It feels like the most obvious, undeniable fact of existence. We are islands.
Exactly. We're living in these little sealed off bubbles. I am this, you are that. And I mean, it's kind of lonely.
It is.
But today, we're doing a deep dive into some source material that basically grabs that default setting, puts it under a microscope, and says, nope, this is objectively, scientifically false.
And not just false in a sort of spiritual woo-woo sense. The materials we're looking at today argue that this sense of separation it's a cognitive illusion, a learned behavior, not a biological fact.
An illusion that carries a pretty heavy price tag, it sounds like.
Massive. The core argument here is that because we believe we are separate, we live in a state of subtle, constant fear. And because we live in fear, we fundamentally misunderstand what love is.
So that's the mission for this deep dive, then.
It's a huge one. We're going to look at the physical proof that you aren't separate from the universe, and then we're going to pivot to why your relationships might hurt more than they really need to.
We're going from astrophysics to relationship therapy in about 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Which, knowing us, is right on brand.
It's all the same subject, surprisingly enough.
Well, let's start with the hard stuff, the whole you are the universe part, because honestly, that sounds like a bumper sticker.
It does, but it's meant to be literal. And I think that's where we have to start by deconstructing that me versus the world idea.
Okay.
Most of us think we're in the universe, like the universe is a stage or a giant container.
And we're just little actors that walk onto the stage, say our lines for 80 years, and then walk off.
Exactly, like you're a visitor here, a tourist in reality.
Right.
But the source material corrects that immediately. It points out that your body isn't separate from the environment. It is the environment.
How so?
Well, think about the elements that make you up. The carbon, the nitrogen, the iron in your blood.
Stardust, right? The Carl Sagan idea?
Literally stellar material. Elements forged in collapsing stars billions of years ago. That's not a metaphor. That's your physical composition.
Okay.
But the source gets even more immediate. It asks you to think about the air you're breathing right now.
Okay. I'm inhaling.
That air in your lungs. Where does it end and you begin? As you hold it, it's part of you. A moment ago, it was in the room. A moment before that, it might have been in my lungs.
Huh. I never thought of it that way.
And the water in your body, that's my favorite part. The text describes how that water has cycled through oceans, clouds, rivers, plants, even dinosaurs for millions of years.
So the water in my coffee cup isn't new. It's just currently coffee.
Nothing is new, and nothing is isolated. That's the key insight here.
So it's not a collection of separate pieces, like Legos.
No, it is, as the source describes, one continuous movement.
Okay.
So the radical shift in perspective is this. You are not in the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself from a specific point of view.
You are the universe experiencing itself from one point. That's a heavy concept.
It is.
But I have to play devil's advocate here. If that's physically true, if I am literally recycled stardust and water and air, why doesn't it feel true? Why do I feel so divided from the person next to me at the grocery store?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, right? If connection is the physical reality, where does the isolation come from?
Yeah.
The source is very clear. The division doesn't come from biology. It comes from thought.
Thought. You mean just thinking in general?
Yeah.
Because I kind of need to think to pay my bills.
Right, right. And the source makes a distinction there. It separates functional thought like, I need to tie my shoes or I need to solve this engineering problem from psychological thought. Psychological thought is the obsession with me.
Let's unpack that. How does the me create division?
Well, thought works by slicing reality into pieces. To name something, you have to separate it from everything else. The second you say, this is me, you are automatically implying that is not me.
You draw a mental line in the sand.
Exactly. And the text argues that as soon as that line is drawn, fear is born.
Fear of what?
Fear of the other.
Oh.
If I'm separate from you, then I can lose you. If I'm separate from the world can hurt me. It creates a paradigm of me against it.
And then comparison starts.
Right. Am I better than you? Am I richer? Am I smarter? All of that requires two separate entities.
So the argument is that we aren't born with this division. It's something we pick up along the way.
Exactly. Watch a baby. They don't have a strong sense of where their body ends and the mother begins. They just experience seeing.
Yep.
That sense of, I am a separate ego, is learned.
It's like a software program we upload around age 2 or 3.
What a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And the problem is, the software has a bug. It convinces us that the separation is real, which leads to this background hum of anxiety.
So if division is learned and it creates this anxiety, what's the alternative? What is natural?
The source has a very specific word for the absence of that division.
Which is?
Love.
But wait, usually we think of love as something we have to do, right? We have to work at it, find it, maintain it.
And that's the mistake, according to these texts. They define love very differently. They say love isn't an emotion you manufacture or work for.
So what is it?
Love is simply what remains when the division drops. It's a state of seeing clearly.
Seeing what clearly?
Seeing the other person not as a role, not as a means to an end, not as a threat, but just as another expression of the same life that's in you.
So you don't do love, you be love.
You are love. When you see that shared existence, it happens automatically.
It's not something you add to the cart. It's what's left when you empty the cart of all the other nonsense.
Precisely. It describes love as the absence of mental noise. It's not romance, not attachment, not possession. It's just recognition.
Yeah.
Looking at someone and realizing, oh, it's me, just in a different form.
Okay, I want to pivot this into the real world because this is fascinating. But we all have actual relationships to deal with. The source gets really specific here about time. It says real love only exists in the now.
This is crucial, and it's where most of us trip up. Think about your relationships. How much time is spent dwelling on the past? Remember when? Or, I can't believe you said that 3 years ago.
Right, that's just memory.
Or worrying about the future. Where is this going? Are we going to get married? What if they leave?
That's just imagination.
Exactly. But life, actual biological life, only happens right now, in this split second. The past is a ghost, the future is a fantasy. So the logic follows. If life is only now, love can only be now.
That hits home. How often do we say, I will love you forever, or I loved you then?
Or even more dangerously, I will love you if. The source calls that out aggressively. When you love later, it's fear. When you love because, it's a transaction. When you love if, it's insecurity.
Real love has no conditions.
Because reality has no conditions. It just is.
It's like we treat relationships like investments. I'm putting in this love equity now so I can get a guaranteed return on investment security, a family 5 years from now.
Which is a business deal, not a relationship. And this leads us directly to the most painful part of the text, but maybe the most liberating.
The part on expectations.
Yes. The source asks a really provocative question. When a relationship ends and you feel that crushing pain, is that love hurting you?
I mean, it certainly feels like it. We call it heartbreak. It feels like love is tearing you apart.
The source argues, no, that is not love hurting you. Love, by its nature, cannot hurt. What hurts is the structure breaking down.
Whoa, okay, break that down for me. What structure?
The mental structure you built around the person. Think about it. When you're with someone, you aren't just with them in the present. You are projecting a mental movie about the future.
We'll go on this vacation. We'll buy this house.
You grow old on a porch somewhere.
Yeah.
You build a story. You have a script. And you've cast them as the co-star.
Right.
And the source says, you use the current partner to fit into a future you had mentally constructed. So when they leave, or cheat, or die, the pain you feel is that imagined future collapsing.
It's the death of the expectation, not the death of love.
Exactly.
That is, ouch. That is a really hard pill to swallow. You're saying I'm mourning a future that never actually happened.
And that's why the pain is so draining. The text acknowledges that love contains both joy and pain. It's not saying love is always happy, you feel loss. Of course. But it says true love's pain is clean. It washes over you. The pain that drains you. That obsessive suffering, that's the pain of shattered expectations disguised as love.
Expectations disguised as love. That is a phrase that should be on everyone's fridge. It implies we're using people.
Unconsciously, yes. We use them to secure a future, to make us feel safe. When that person is removed, we panic because the room in our mind looks empty.
So if we strip away the expectations and the future projection, what does a healthy relationship actually look like? Why am I even with you?
It looks like wholeness. And this counters one of the biggest romantic myths out there. The Jerry Maguire myth.
You complete me?
He ruined a generation with that line. Seriously. The source material aggressively rejects that idea. Remember the physics. You are the universe. You are structurally whole. You lack nothing.
So if I'm the universe, I don't need a partner to complete me.
Precisely. The text explains that relationships break when people depend on the outside world to define them. A partner, a job. You build your identity on this external scaffolding.
And when the scaffolding collapses?
You panic. Not just because of the loss, but because your definition of self just crumbled.
It's an identity crisis masked as a breakup. Who am I if I'm not his wife?
Right. And this is where we get to a really surprising, kind of controversial detail in the source. It talks about replacement.
Yeah, I flagged this. I had to read it twice. It says, if you're emotionally complete, you don't need to replace a partner who leaves or dies. That sounded cold.
It sounds cold if you view relationships as a need. But listen to the logic. It says if you are whole, love comes from choice, not need.
Okay.
If you need someone to complete you, then yes, when they leave, you are scrambling to find a replacement to plug that hole. You're auditioning people to be the new filler.
So it's not saying you can't be with someone new. It's saying you aren't frantically trying to patch a leak in your soul.
Exactly. It says one person is enough to love. Because if you truly love one person, seeing them as an expression of the universe, you're essentially loving the entire universe through them.
And you don't need to reinvest that love like it's a bank account that got closed.
Because you are the source of the love.
Yeah.
You can just keep loving.
So if I'm hearing this right, when you're whole, you don't use people.
You enjoy them.
That's a massive shift. It changes love from a hunger into, what, a celebration.
A celebration of existence. And love is a choice. Comes up a lot. It is the ultimate choice. The source reminds us that life is unpredictable. It says you could die in 5 minutes or 50 years.
Memento mori. Always good to remember.
But it's the most important context. Because life is fragile and unknown, the most valuable thing isn't gold or your career. It is this life, this moment, right now.
You wouldn't be arguing about who forgot to do the dishes if you had 10 minutes left.
Exactly. The division just drops.
So when we stop trying to use people to secure our future and complete our broken selves, we're left with just choosing to appreciate them.
Gratitude. That's the word the text uses. Love becomes gratitude for life itself. When you realize you are the universe and the person across from you is the universe, there's no need to control them or change them or fight them.
Because fighting them would be fighting yourself.
Literally, the source says, if we are one, then hurting another is hurting yourself. Not in a moral, be a good person way, but in a structural, physical way. You are punching your own reflection.
It really reframes the whole concept of self-help. It's not about improving the self. It's about realizing the self you think you are. The separate, isolated ego doesn't really exist.
And that's what allows for true connection. When you meet another person from a place of wholeness, the source says, you are simply pouring out love. You're not trying to fill a gap.
I like that image. Pouring out rather than trying to suck in energy from everyone else.
And when two whole individuals meet like that, the relationship doesn't naturally break because it's not built on a fragile structure of conditions. It's built on shared existence.
We've covered a lot of ground here, from atoms in our lungs to the psychology of breakups.
It's a lot, I know. But if you look closely, it actually simplifies everything.
Okay, let's try to recap the journey before we wrap up. We started with the fact that separation is an illusion, physically, spiritually.
Right. We are recycled stardust, water, and air. We are the universe.
Then we talked about how our own thoughts create the labels that divide us, me versus you, and how that labeling creates fear.
And how real love is just the clarity that remains when we drop those labels.
And then the trap of the future, how we fall in love with a script in our heads, and how the pain of heartbreak is often just the pain of that script being shredded.
Spot on.
And finally, the power of wholeness. Realizing you don't need another person to complete you because you're already whole. Love becomes a choice to celebrate life, not a transaction.
Perfect summary.
It really takes the pressure off, doesn't it? If I don't need you to complete me or secure my future, then I can just enjoy you.
You can just love. And that brings us to the final challenge the source offers. It's not about going out and trying to fix the world.
Right. The question wasn't how do we save the planet? What was it?
The source says, the real question is, can I see clearly right now?
Can I see clearly right now?
Can I act without fear? Can I speak without ego? Can I love without trying to control the outcome? The text argues that if even one person lives from that clarity, their presence becomes the teaching.
Just stop adding division where there is none.
That's it. Stop drawing the line.
It's a powerful thought to leave with. As you go about your day, look at the next person you see, a barista, a coworker, your partner. Try to see them not as a separate entity, but as another expression of the same life that is in you.
And remember, you are the universe experiencing itself. Might as well enjoy the experience.
Thanks for taking the deep dive with us. We'll see you next time.